Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's Petree's Pit with Jordan. We're going to do a preview of Bad Blood, tonight's SmackDown, talk about the AEW TV deal. This is a big week in wrestling, a lot of news, um, particularly with the TV deal, Dynamite's fifth anniversary. Got a pay-per-view tomorrow. But first, we have SmackDown tonight, and there's not much scheduled for the show. There's three matches and the return of AJ Styles. Um, AJ's been gone since his feud with Cody. Is that correct?
I think it was he had a match with Randy in the was it the King of the Ring tournament?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Uh, That was his last match. Yeah.
Okay. He was working as a heel. Do we think he's going to stay heel? Is he going to turn babyface? What do we think?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard because AJ just so popular
Yeah.
that I mean, even when he was a heel, he was still getting cheered. So,
Right.
which I mean can go for pretty much anybody nowadays. There's only a few guys who really truly get the reaction they're trying for. Um,
Do you?
but I would say I don't know what they're gonna have him do, like who they're gonna have him feud with. I guess that really will um they'll make that decision on if they decide to keep him as a bad guy or keep him as or try to go with him as a babyface.
I know he's talked a lot about just the aches and pains, the travel schedule, the wear and tear on his body, being with his family. A lot of factors have kind of leaded him towards thinking he's probably going to hang it up soon. Do we think we get an announcement of some sort tonight that maybe he's on his retirement tour?
I don't know if they're gonna do that because they're already doing that with Cena.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to have two guys doing that. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Um, or maybe they could go more of like because of the fact he's not going to be around much longer and because of the fact that he's such a popular guy, maybe they just go with him being a baby face just because I mean who really you don't want to boost somebody in their last however long they've got wrestling, especially somebody like him with such a long career. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. They might just bring him back as a baby face because he gets cheered anyway.
Right.
So but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna actually come out and do what Cena did because then you just have two of the same type of deal going on.
Yeah. So it looks like he's been working with Cody on the house show tours, um, which is interesting. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're already doing a retirement tour with Cena, so to speak. Um, but I wonder how much longer AJ wants to do this. I mean, you know, he's been doing it a long time. He was with WCW. It's insane to think.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, and he's talked about how wrestling so long is taking a toll on his body. So yeah, I don't know how much longer he's gonna do it. I mean, he's in really great shape.
Oh my God,
Um,
he looks insane.
I mean, probably the best shape of his life at this point. Um, but yeah, I don't know what they'll do. I don't like I said, I don't know like who you can have him work with because I can't imagine they're gonna circle him back with Cody again
Yeah,
because they had their last match was a not quit match.
right.
So I don't really see how you have him go back to him again. And plus, hopefully they'll have Cody move on to other things. But
You think?
I mean, I hope so.
Um, well, there's other matches, or I guess the three matches tonight are Michin versus Chelsea Green in a dumpster match. Um,
The hell is a dumpster match?
I don't know. I don't know. And to be honest
Have
with
they actually did they said what a dumpster match is?
you, no, I don't
Are
know.
you just are you just throwing somebody in dumpster and that's how you win?
That's a good question. Um, I don't know. I mean, I would not be surprised if Chelsea Green gets thrown in the dumpster tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't followed hers and Meechin's thing very closely. I mean, I know they've kind of gone back and forth on SmackDown a little bit, but um, I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't know why, because it seems like Chelsea Green is popular with people.
Yeah.
I mean, she gets a reaction. I don't know why you have her keep losing, but maybe I guess that's kind of part of her gimmicks. Is she loses a lot and then she complains like a Karen. So
Yeah, right. She has an air of like inviolability about her that like you could do anything to her and she'll still be popular and she'll bounce right back and enter the next feud or the next program or the next stipulation and looks fine.
yeah.
She's very unique in that regard. I mean, there's not a lot of women who are really over with the audience in WWE, and she's definitely one of them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, but also too, I mean, she's teamed up with Piper Niven
Yeah.
also, and so I don't know if I mean if you have her on your corner, I mean, I would assume she'll probably get involved in this match.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, um, there's Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, the Miss Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I don't mean to bury the lead here, but I'd imagine Tiffany Stratton's going to be playing a huge role in a match tomorrow night. So I don't foresee her losing this to Naomi. Um, how do you feel about how Naomi's been used since she left TNA and returned to WWE?
I mean, she's been featured, especially lately. I mean, she's been kind of right in the middle of this whole, Nia Jax, Bailey, uh, Tiffany Stratton being around the women's championship. Um, and I mean, they've kind of teased possibly turning her heel,
Mm-hmm.
just because I mean, obviously Bailey beat her in the number one contenders match last week, and week before that, I believe they had the where her and Bailey both pinned Nia Jax and what led to the number one contenders match. So it kind of seems like they're going with the whole she keeps losing her opportunities to Bailey, and eventually she's going to get tired of it and turn on her. Um, which I mean, I think that would be good because I don't think her just being a baby face, even though she's very popular and she's very likable, but um, she's done been a bad guy before, so I think that would be good. I think once she turns heel, I think that would really help. Um, especially, and I don't know how the match tomorrow is going to go. Um, but if you were to have like Bailey win, that would be somebody that she could face after this. Um, but to answer your original question, I think she's been used pretty well. Maybe kind of she was just kind of around before, but lately they've kind of really picked it up with her and are started featuring her more. So I think that'll be good for her going forward.
She's definitely on that, like you said, the slow burn to becoming a heel, to turning heel. I don't think it'll happen tonight, but down the line, I definitely think so. Um, Last match is the triple threat ladder match between the Bloodline, the Street Profits, and DIY for the WWE Tag Team Championship.
Yeah.
WWE, yeah, Tag Team Championship, yeah. Uh, Tamatanga, Tongaloa, I guess are the better of the two tag team champions right now. They wrestle more, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I guess the Street Profits have been together for a while, and they're former tag team champions.
right.
And DIY, they've been tag teams for a decent while. Obviously, not all the way through. They've done their own singles things, but yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, plus two, the with the Tongas, I mean, they've been tag team for a while, but as far as WWE viewers go, I mean, they haven't wrestled that long. As far as them, because I'm assuming that most people in the WWE audience probably don't know a whole lot about what they've done outside of it,
Yeah.
outside of the WWE bubble.
Do you think um do you think they come out on top, retain their titles, or do you think maybe the Street Profits go over?
I would I would imagine the Bloodline is going to win this.
Yeah.
I don't see. I mean, because the Street Profits have just been kind of floating around. I mean, they had the whole thing with Lashley's crew, which didn't work. Um,
Right.
I mean, DIY. They're again, they've just been they've been around. I mean, they were the champions. So,
Yeah.
but I don't see any reasoning why the Bloodline would lose right now, especially because they're going to be involved in a lot more prominent stuff going forward. Um, I mean, I would like to see like the Street Profits win because I think you need to try to build up this tag team division a little bit more,
Yeah.
especially if all the news about the Motor City Machine Guns coming in, and then the potential Lucha Brothers at some point coming in. I think you need to build up more tag teams
Yeah.
because they just are. You've got two sets of tag team titles. I mean, you got to have some tag teams to compete for them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the Bloodline's going to win this, especially because they're so involved in the main event scene there right now. Barring maybe like I don't know somebody interfering and costing them to further that storyline, but I don't probably see that happening. Nothing big like right before the pay-per-view tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Street Profits should win, but I don't think they will. Um, Although the ladder match definitely favors someone like Montez Ford, you know. Um, and I mean, obviously it's wrestling, so even though he'll be a great showcase for this, it doesn't mean they'll win. But yeah, I think for the sake of the tag team division, the Street Profits should win. I mean, you look at JD McDonough and Finn Balor; they've had what like one defense of their tag titles, and it's been 100 days.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it's like
Um,
you just this division on both shows and both brands is a real afterthought, unfortunately. Um, so
well, it's just because like both sets of tag team titles are in a group that's involved in like bigger things.
yeah,
Like they're not standing on their own. They're just uh, like the world tag team titles are involved with the Judgment Day, and then the WWE tag titles, like I said, are involved with the Bloodline. So everything else just overshadows those, and I think it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, you could easily have a great tag team division and have the tag team titles be their own type of thing.
yeah,
Um, but I will say, I think the fact that they're having a big time tag team title defense on SmackDown is a good sign that they're trying to put more of an emphasis on the tag team division. And maybe that's because they're having, like I said, the Motor City Machine Guns coming in, and they're trying to put a little more emphasis on that. So hopefully this is a sign of good things to come for the tag team division in WWE on both shows.
yeah. I mean, you got five guys who can wrestle their ass off and Tongaloa, you know.
Yeah,
So, you know, I think it'll be a good match. I don't know if the titles change hands because, like you said, I think it's really just the tag team champions are in bigger factions and they only have those titles, so those groups have a little bit more jewelry when they come out,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
A little bit more intimidating, I guess, because Lord knows Finn Balor or Solo Sikoa are going to have any titles anytime soon. But
yeah.
speaking of which, I guess Bad Blood tomorrow night, Atlanta, Georgia. Um, I guess before we really get into it, who do you think, or what match do you think will main event this show? McIntyre and Punk?
Um, I mean, I feel like it's going to be Cody and Roman versus Solo and Batu
Really?
because I'm just I'm figuring that they might have some kind of big return. Um, Maybe like Jimmy Uso. Obviously, that's been something people have been kind of waiting on. Every time there's a match, they're with the bloodline, and they're figuring he's going to come back at some point, and start the build towards presumably Survivor Series. Um, so I'm kind of thinking that that is probably what it would be. I don't know if they would have a return of like The Rock or something like that. Um, I don't know if this type of show would be where they did that. Um, but regardless, yeah, I think that's something they're gonna have something happen in that match that will kind of go off the air as, oh my God, this happened, and then they can, build on that for the next shows.
Yeah.
But I'm figuring that's probably going to be the main event, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, kind of the way they've been doing these shows, they might have Punk and McIntyre open it.
It's strange to me that you would lower the cage and then lift it back up. It just seems wrong. I mean, I'm not, it's obviously happened, but it just seems wrong to me.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know. And I mean, maybe they'll do it the reverse way. Maybe they'll have Cody and Roman open it. I don't really see them having Roman be the opening match.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've done it with Cody a bunch of times. So, but again, I just with Roman, I mean, I don't think he's had a match that was the main event in 3 years, was it?
Uh,
I mean,
that's,
I can't really think of one.
I know his match against Jey Uso, the first one in 2020. I don't think that was a main event match.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm talking 4 years.
So, um,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you there. I mean, and they had that segment that what was it, off air, I guess, but it was McAfee and Cody, and McAfee said the big guy's coming back this week. Um,
yeah, and that's kind of why I'm thinking that they'll have that be last, because then, I mean, maybe The Rock does show up, and I mean, if The Rock is going to show up, then they got to be the main event.
yeah,
I mean, you're not going to have The Rock return in the second match or the first match. So
yeah. I mean, what if the big guy is a Jimmy Uso? That would be a big middle finger to the fans. But I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh God, that
It'd be
would.
fun, I
I
guess.
don't know. I can't. Yeah, there's no way. I can't imagine, especially if they got McAfee, because every time McAfee's involved, he's talking about The Rock.
Yeah,
So I mean, if they're talking about it on McAfee's show, then I can't imagine it would be anybody but The Rock.
yeah. I mean, we have what a month, about 2 months until War Games, November
Yeah,
30th. So we have a lot of time to build towards that. What I would assume is going to be an inner bloodline match. Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe, yeah. I guess this would be as good of a time as any for The Rock to return between now and then, because he's probably, if he is going to be involved in that match, some way, shape, or fashion, he's not going to be on SmackDown every week. So, um,
no. But then you've also got to think, like, if The Rock does come back, I'm assuming he's going to be aligned with the new bloodline. Um, so you also have to kind of figure out, well, if The Rock comes back, then I mean, you're going to overshadow anything that Solo does. And with the way that they've been kind of, pushing Solo and trying to build him up as this, tribal chief level um, competitor. I mean, if you got The Rock coming back, you're gonna have to figure out how that dynamic works. I mean, because I mean, if The Rock's coming back, I can't imagine he's gonna just sit there to the side of Solo. That's just never gonna happen.
right.
So, you know, you kind of gotta figure out that dynamic. So that'll take some time. They'll milk that a little bit. So it would be a good spot for for him to come back and kind of get that ball rolling.
Well, I guess yeah, I mean, we've already kind of been talking about it. Let's talk about this tag team match. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Um, how do you, I mean, listen, we Jordan and I talk about wrestling every week. We're both huge Cody Rhodes fans. The man's wearing a Cody Rhodes shirt right now.
Yeah.
Top 5 merchandise seller on Fanatics last week, among all sports, which is just insane. What a feat for wrestling. I mean, are you tired? Are you as tired of Cody Rhodes being involved in the Bloodlines business as I am? Because quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I mean, the guy has to live his own life at some point, right? Have his own opponents, have his own enemies. Uh, I'm fucking tired of watching him face Roman Reigns or Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. I'm fucking sick of it. The guy, it's been going on what, a year and a half now. I mean,
Yeah, it's
well, like almost 2 years now. I mean,
yeah, I mean it's been going on way too long. Um, but I mean at the same point, I mean he's done other things. I mean he's wrestled Kevin Owens, he wrestled AJ Styles. So they've kind of and those were great matches. So he's kind of he's done some things, but I think it's going to be hard because the bloodline stuff just sucks up so much of the oxygen as far as like the main event picture that I mean if you take Cody out of it, I mean where does he go after that? Because they're teasing him facing Roman again. Um, so I don't know how far you put him away from Roman Reigns. But I mean at this point, yeah, like it's you have Roman back now.
yeah,
And obviously, Roman has the bigger beef with the bloodline right now because obviously Solo is trying to take his spot as the tribal chief, and Roman's he fought all the guys at once, So
yeah,
and then that's which is kind of why I don't understand why they teased it uh, for Cody being done with them on SmackDown a few weeks ago
yeah,
when he was like, "They're not my problem anymore." But then you go right back and he decides, okay, I'm going to tag with him against the bloodline,
yeah,
and then you have Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Are like, what are you doing? Like, why are you teaming up with the guy who you've had such a rivalry with? Um, so it just kind of seems like they don't really know what to do with Cody as champion.
yeah,
Like they don't really know how to create a story with him, a new story
yeah.
that doesn't involve the bloodline.
Yeah, I don't. The matches against Kevin Owens and AJ were great. As they, all those guys are great workers, including Cody. But you need to have Cody face a heel who is enough of a heel that they can generate a long term story. I mean, we've seen with Punk and Drew McIntyre, this has gone on for 9 months now.
Yeah,
Um, just at a certain point, the bloodline can be its own thing. And like you said, I don't understand why Cody wouldn't just say, well, I don't want to help you, Roman. And it would honestly be beneficial to me if you handled them and then they'd stop fucking attacking me every week.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you beat Solo's ass, well, maybe he'd stop messing with me then. I mean, what doesn't that make? I mean, why would he even help them? I mean, Roman can handle it himself. Um, I just don't understand, why he needs to be involved in this at every step of the way. I don't understand why they had Cody versus Solo at SummerSlam. I mean, we keep talking about, we have Randy Orton in our back pocket for Cody. Why
yeah.
didn't they just turn Randy heel months ago and have that match at SummerSlam and they could still be wrestling right now?
Uh, yeah. Well, I think the problem there is, and it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with AJ. I mean, Randy's obviously older. He was gone for what, 2 years with the back issue.
Yeah.
You don't know how much longer he's got, so it's kind of like, do you really want to try to make Randy a bad guy? Uh, and especially the fact that Randy's just so popular, you know, that I think it would be if you put him against Cody, are we sure that Randy's not going to get cheered and
He's still
that
going to be
Cody's
the
going to
bastard. Randy's so good at being a bastard. We
Yeah,
forgot because people love him right now that Randy is
yeah,
really good at being hated.
yeah. No, I mean, he definitely he can be a heel for sure. I mean, he's obviously we talked before about his rivalries with Cena back in what 2009 when he really kind of became a main event bad guy as a champion and everything. That I mean, he could definitely do it. I just think it's hard now because he's so damn popular that I mean, you look at how popular Roman is, and you put him and Cody in the same ring, and Cody's getting booed. So um, and then when they confronted each other on SmackDown there the other week, I mean, you had a guy very clearly in the front row you could hear saying, "Beat his ass, Randy." So I think that would make it tough because it's just he's got that built-in credibility as being this legend. Um, whereas I mean, Cody's obviously he's the biggest babyface there, him and Roman.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know who, and maybe that's kind of why they haven't taken Cody away from the bloodline yet, because the bloodline, regardless of whatever you think about Solo and his shortcomings, I mean, he gets heat every week. I mean, he gets booed out of the building, and there's no mixed reactions for him. So maybe that's kind of why, because it's so easy, because then Cody can be the true good guy, unquestioned against this unquestioned bad guy. Or if you try to pivot him towards anybody else, like Randy or Kevin Owens, those guys are both popular.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even when they're bad guys, they're popular. So because they obviously been teasing the whole Kevin Owens heel turn thing, but it's like I mean, people like Kevin Owens. They like him a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you put him against uh, Cody, is that going to cause an issue where the fans don't know who to cheer for, even though one's clearly trying to be a good guy, one's clearly trying to be a bad guy. I don't know how that would work. So
Well, I think that it's on Triple H to create heels. I mean, that should be his bread and butter. He's one of the greatest heels of all time. It's on him to build heels. And if you're going to have a babyface champion, you have to have a heel factory of guys that you can run through. So I don't. I mean, I guess I don't know. It seemed like that's what they were doing with Gunter, was that he was going to be the heel. He had that Rumble match with Cody where they went like 10 minutes at the end, and he had the Imperium. And I know Giovanni Vinci got hurt, but it always seemed like to me that was naturally the next step, was that you were going to have him feud with another group and just I mean, because you can always go back to Roman, but I feel like Cody's, well, obviously he's popular and like we said, his merchandise sells. It just seems like now he has this image where he can't do anything successful outside of Roman Reigns and the bloodline. And that doesn't look good for him.
no,
So I don't know. But I understand what you mean, that like Solo is so hated by the crowd, so reviled, that it makes Cody look better.
yeah,
But now he's tag teaming with Roman Reigns, maybe in the main event of Bad Blood. And I mean, you'd imagine a month and a half from now when Survivor Series comes around, he's not going to be in that match. He's not going to be. I mean, I hope he's not going to be with the original Bloodline.
yeah. I would hope. I would kind of hope that after this match that they make this more about Roman versus the new bloodline and trying to reclaim his title as tribal chief,
Yeah,
and Cody can go off and do something else. Um, like I said, maybe they do the whole Kevin Owens heel turn thing tomorrow and start that. Uh, maybe they do the Randy thing, turning on him and start that. But I'm after this match. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, I don't understand where else the story can go with Cody being involved. I mean,
yeah.
because I can't imagine he's going to keep wanting to help him. So
No, I mean, yeah. Well, and maybe you're right. Maybe after this, it's Randy Orton, and they'll have a run until WrestleMania season begins. It's hard to tell. Um, but I guess we'll find out what happens tomorrow. We've beaten that dead horse. let's go to Nia Jax versus Bailey. Now, neither of us like Nia Jax. Let's just be honest here. This is not a safe space for Nia Jax. She is pretty bad in the ring.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't think Bailey has a chance at winning this. Um, what are the odds that Tiffany Stratton does not leave Bad Blood the champion? Because this seems pretty inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, they've been kind of teasing that. I mean, Nia's obviously she's threatened Tiffany a couple times.
Right.
Um, and the interesting thing about this one, though, kind of as opposed to what we were just talking about, is that with the women's championship, there's a few different directions that you could go with this.
Yeah.
Like I could see Bailey winning, and then, like I said, go face off against Naomi, or she, starts something with Tiffany Stratton, or Nia wins, Tiffany cashes in on her.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of feel like Tiffany cashing in is too obvious.
Really.
Like they might try to, maybe I mean maybe they'll just tease it that, oh, she's gonna cash in, and but she ends up not, or maybe she kind of teases cashing in and it costs Nia,
Mhm.
and that starts something between those two. There's a few different directions that this match could go. Um, but I'm gonna say that she doesn't. But I just feel like it's one of those things where it's so obvious that they decide to, swerve everybody and
Mhm.
go a different direction, and just and save that cash in for later on down the line.
That's fair. Um, kind of hope she does cash in. Because Bailey accomplished nothing as champion. Um, she didn't have any memorable matches. Um, and the women's championship on SmackDown is very much an afterthought of the show, it feels like at times. Compared to on Raw, obviously the women's championship is probably the most important title. I feel like maybe I don't know, maybe you disagree with that. But to me it feels like on Raw, the women's championship is the most important title on that show. I feel like it even right now it's even more important than Gunter's.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just because Liv Morgan has it, and they've been putting so much emphasis on the Judgment Day versus Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley that it kind of gives that impression. But I mean, really, the story is it's just that one's about Liv and Rhea. I mean, the world title's there,
Yeah, well, yeah, I
but
mean, that's what I mean. I mean, I don't mean the I don't mean the belt. I mean the story that and the people holding it, the people fighting for it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely more involved in important things,
Yeah, I mean,
which
obviously on SmackDown, it's hard to overshadow Cody and the Bloodline. I understand that. Like maybe this is just a slide of Raw's roster right now, the quality of it. But anyways,
yeah.
yeah, I just mean that. No, go on.
I mean, also, if you kind of think about it, it really shouldn't be because there's more people that could go for that title on SmackDown. I mean, you've got obviously you have Bailey, Nia's the champion, Tiffany's there, you have Naomi, even though she's not involved in it right now, you have Bianca Belair. Um, so like you have a few different people you could have involved with that title. Um, but yeah, it's just they just kind of done a really bad job of making that title seem important,
Yeah,
And maybe it's just because Nia Jax is just, in our opinion, not that good. Um, so it just there's no real interest there. Whereas opposed to Liv and Rhea, I mean, Rhea is like the most popular woman in the company.
yeah.
And I mean, Liv is very popular as well. And that, those two just having more more attention on them brings more eyeballs to that championship.
When you say, in our opinion, Nia Jax isn't good, I think you mean objectively, she's not good. Does anyone think Nia Jax is a good wrestler? Does Triple H think Nia Jax is a good wrestler?
I mean,
I find that hard to believe.
I mean, she's on the show every week. I mean, she's the women's champion. She won Queen of the Ring. I mean, they obviously think she's got something. I mean, obviously the fans don't like her. Now I don't know if that is the right type of heat that she's getting. I know in the past, obviously, she's gotten that whole go away heat.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but it seems like this time around, they really are high on her at the moment.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't imagine he thinks she's that bad. Otherwise, I can't imagine he would give her this type of push, regardless of The Rock and the Samoan factor. Um,
Samoan factor.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at all the
Yeah.
bloodline obviously has been in there. The Rock is obviously on the board of directors now.
Right.
Um, so that's obviously. I mean, hell, The Rock's daughter is general manager of NXT. So they're very involved in the WWE fabric.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that plays a part to a certain extent, but I can't imagine if Triple H was just like she's not good, and I can't imagine they would push her like they have.
Um, if you could trade one men's wrestler right now on SmackDown to Raw for a women's wrestler, who would it be?
So trade a
A man.
male SmackDown wrestler for a female Raw wrestler.
Yeah. 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 That's it.
Hmm. Uh.
I guess let's start with what woman would you want on the Raw roster on SmackDown to make this title in this division more competitive?
I mean, I think it would be better if you did it the opposite way because I feel like there's so many more viable SmackDown women's wrestlers than there are Raw women's wrestlers. Because on Raw, I mean, who else is there besides Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan? I mean, Becky's not there.
Well, but
You have what?
Becky is on the Raw roster. Well,
Yeah, but I mean, she's not there. She hasn't been there in a few months. I mean, you have what? Sonya Deville, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler. Um, what's the other one's Laya Valkyrie? She's on Raw, I think.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
Io Sky, Kyrie
yeah,
Sane, Asuka, although she's injured right now.
yeah. But then it's like you think Io was already on SmackDown. She was already involved in that whole thing. So it's like, do you really want to put her back into that again? Even though I like Io and she's a great wrestler, but it's like she already was there, and now they put her on Raw. So I mean, I would kind of like to have like someone like Bianca, who's just I mean kind of floating around there. I mean, she's the women's tag team champion with Jade, but it's like I mean, she was you know is still one of their biggest women's stars.
Yeah,
I mean, she was the champion for what 200, 300 days at one point.
for over a year. I think she at one point, yeah, she was definitely over a year. I think I can look at it.
Yeah, and just had really good matches, and she's got a great character, and people like her a lot.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I would kind of prefer like to move Bianca to like Raw, and then as far as taking a male wrestler from Raw, I mean that one's kind of tough. I don't know who I would take.
wait. You would take you would take Bianca from SmackDown instead of
Yeah,
just
put her on.
a tag team wrestler. You would
Yeah,
take
no, yeah, she should not be a tag team wrestler. She's,
so
you
you're
know,
making the SmackDown Women's Championship less valuable. But okay, all right. I'm
well,
sorry.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, okay, yeah,
I'm
whatever.
just trying to look at it more as, yeah, I mean, the women's championship, I think there are enough people there you could make that interesting, like we talked about earlier. I mean, you have Bailey's still there. You have Tiffany waiting in the wings. You have Naomi. Um,
Naomi.
so I mean, think about. I mean, they've teased Bianca and Rhea before, so I think that helps you with that issue because I mean, and we'll talk about Liv and Rhea later, but I mean, as far as who else is going to challenge for that women's title besides, there's nobody else besides Rhea and Liv that people really care that much about.
Right.
So I think that one would, because otherwise, doing it the way you were originally intending, who else are you going to take besides either Rhea or Liv? I mean, you can't take Liv because then you'd have both titles on the same show.
Well, is that your bad blood prediction? Liv Morgan retains the title?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of move on to that now. Kind of already talked about Nia, and
The quiet part out loud. I mean, you think Liv Morgan's going to win this?
I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was just saying. Like, let's say like Rhea wins,
Yeah.
who does she face after that? Like, where does she go? Like, who else is she going to face off against? Because I mean, if you're going to keep her going up against Liv, it makes more sense for Liv to have the title. Because I mean, the last time that they faced off, which I believe was in that tag team match, her and Dominic versus Damien and Rhea. I mean, Rhea beat the hell out of her.
Yeah.
So, if you want to keep Liv to as a viable main eventer in the women's division, she kind of needs a win over Rhea, and to to keep that chase going for Rhea to get her title back.
Do you um think Raquel Rodriguez returns soon? Do you think she returns tomorrow night and helps Liv?
That was kind of what I was thinking. I know a lot of people have talked about that. Um, I mean, I think that would be interesting. It would give you another woman involved in this, somebody of equal size and stature as Rhea.
Yeah.
That it would be like if she were to you know, beat Rhea up, it would make more sense. And and then obviously there's history there. It would make sense. It wouldn't just be like you're throwing a random woman into this storyline. I mean, Raquel has her problems with Rhea. They faced off before.
Yeah.
Raquel's friends with Liv, so
Former
the whole thing would fit. And I think it would give you another viable woman to have Rhea go up against.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about Liv being a champion and having Raquel be her enforcer necessarily, but I think that's possible. So
Well,
you both think Liv wins by um, unfair means, right? She's gonna have someone come in and help her, or
yeah, I kind of feel because if you look at it, it kind of teased that up where Dominic now is not involved. So,
well,
as far as we assume he's not,
he's in a
you
Shark
know,
Tank, right?
yeah, I don't see how he could interfere at all. So it would make sense. Like, okay, we're finally going to get Rhea versus Liv one on one, which presumably would mean Rhea's going to beat the hell out of her for most of the match.
Mhm.
Um, kind of like how SummerSlam went for the most part. And then it's like there's everybody assuming okay we're not going to have any interference, and all of a sudden, oh here Raquel Rodriguez gets involved, Rhea gets screwed once again, and then you can continue this whole thing, but now you have a new element.
Yeah,
We have the Raquel Rodriguez factor, and also it turns her heel, which is good because she was just kind of a just a white meat baby face for the before, and
right.
that really didn't work.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah, I think that would be a good turn of events and kind of keep this going because, like you said, I mean, they're to an extent, Raw Women's division is pretty scarce. I mean, I would love to see Rhea versus a Helios guy, but you know, I mean, I guess there's time. But
yeah, I mean you can do that down the line.
yeah,
It's just I mean and that's kind of why I'm thinking like Rhea wins the title. It's pretty much at this point on Raw just what woman's going to go up against Rhea next. Because she's the biggest woman there. She's the most popular one. So you if you make her champion, I feel like you kind of run into the same problem that's Cody's kind of have is like who does she go after next?
Yeah.
What match can you have that's going to be interesting to have her, you know, go up against somebody other than just throwing some random person at her
Yeah.
and having a match. There wouldn't be any kind of story behind it.
Um, Damian Priest versus Finn Balor, sticking with the Judgment Day versus the Terror Twins story going on Raw. Um, Damian Priest, former World Heavyweight Champion. Finn Balor was the Universal Champion for less than a day, pretty much. These are both former World Champions. Finn Balor, current World Tag Team Champion with one half of the current World Tag Team Champions with JD McDonough. I kind of wish this match was also in a Hell in a Cell because I don't want to see anyone get involved, but they definitely will.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Finn Balor fan, so maybe I'm a mark, but it's hard for me to not like him. It's hard for me to
Oh
say,
yeah.
yeah, he wrestles like a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just he's so good at wrestling like a babyface. So I don't think he's going to win this, but what do you think?
I actually think he is going to win this.
Okay.
I think because like we said, there's going to be interference, obviously,
Yeah.
by most of the Judgment Day. Um, and I think you kind of need Finn to win this because Finn needs that win. I think more than Damian does because you figure. I mean, Damian's he's figured in. He's a guy that they're trying to push as Terror Twin with Rhea. They're the two popular ones.
Right.
Um, and also too, I mean, think look at Finn for the last couple years. I mean, he lost what 4 times to Seth Rollins when he was vying for the world title.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
so I mean, you kind of get you have to give him some big time wins to just
Yeah.
it's besides just being a tag team. I mean, if because he should be a viable contender for the world title. He has that cachet
Yeah.
and he has that credibility. But if he just keeps getting beat every time he's in a big time feud, then eventually it's just going to be like people aren't going to care. They're not going to. They're like, well, it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think he does win this. Obviously, it'll be interference. Um, but I do think he gets that win.
Do you think how much longer do you think this feud lasts? Judgment Day versus the Terror Twins. Does this go to WrestleMania?
I mean, I can't imagine that it would
Yeah.
because it's kind of entering Cody bloodline territory where I mean, how many more fights can these people have? The
Yeah.
same people fighting each other. I mean, it eventually you want to try to have Damian face other people.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's gonna because he never got a rematch for the world title,
Hmm.
so you can imagine he's gonna want to go back there again. Um, I mean, these two maybe you keep this going a little bit longer because this is, I believe, the first time they faced each other. Um, and I mean, if there is interference, then obviously this wouldn't be over.
Hmm.
And plus, two, I can't imagine they're going to have Damien lose and then just pivot away from this. So I think it'll go on a little bit longer. But as far as going to WrestleMania, I don't know how you could extend it that far.
Yeah. Um, I kind of preface this with these guys are both former world champions. Obviously, Damien much more recently. Um, do you think the winner of this feud will determine who exits it as a bigger guy, as a bigger name, or do you think both of these guys, their reputations are kind of what they are? I mean, do you think there's vertical movement for these guys after this?
Well, I think Damien, as far as the booking is concerned, I mean he's been kind of figured in. I mean they've been kind of pushing him towards being that single star.
Right.
Um, I mean Finn, I just think he's been in it so long, he's done so much. I think he's always kind of gonna have that main event status. Like you could put Finn in a main event match, and it wouldn't be like out of place.
Yeah.
Um, I think overall Damien needs to and will come out of this feud on top because he kind of needs that more
Yeah.
right now. Finn, like I said, Finn doesn't really need it. He's already a main eventer in most people's eyes. Um, but yeah, I think overall, Damien's going to be the one to come out of this as the top guy.
How many more times can Finn? Maybe this is how great of a wrestler he is. How many more feuds can he end up losing? Can he in the blow off he loses before he loses all credibility as a pseudo main eventer, someone towards the top? Because now he's, I guess he came out on top against Edge when they switched the bloodline leadership when they kind of went back and forth. But that's now he's not claimed the world heavyweight championship. Um, and I'm missing what before that. Well, I mean, he did the thing with Roman. Obviously, he didn't win, and then he went
Yeah,
the Judgment Day reverse leadership with Edge. Um, then he didn't win the world heavyweight championship. You know, if he doesn't come out on top of this, how much longer can you? I mean, he's 43 years old at this point. You know, will he ever be a
yeah.
champion again, or will he ever have a long reign?
I mean, I think at this point, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, he won the Universal title back in, oh God, what was it,
50.
2017?
Oh,
Ear
yeah,
Earlier than that?
yeah. No, that's probably about right. I mean, he was the first champion. He won the tournament.
Yeah, first champion, got hurt.
Mhm.
He's never held another one since. Um, like we said, he's older now.
Yeah,
Still obviously in really good shape, can still go. I don't think he's gonna retire, anytime soon.
right.
So, I mean, I think it would make more sense for him to be a babyface champion because I just think you know, I think he's a really good babyface.
Yeah.
Um, but right now, I think they're really high on Damian Priest, and I just I don't see Finn winning a title anytime soon. So as far as him, losing all these rivalries, like I said, I don't think him losing is going to really hurt him in the eyes of like the fans
Yeah.
because he's just Finn Balor's just kind of got that main event status kind of locked up.
Yeah.
So I don't think him losing this to Damian in the end overall, I don't think is going to, you know, make people think, well, he should never get another match again because he loses all the time. I think he'll still be in the main event picture. He'll still be around. And who knows, maybe after this, maybe he's gets a win to become world champion. Um, so I do think he'll always be around it
Yeah.
at the very least.
Um, Last match we can talk about. And you think it might open the show. I'm inclined to believe you're probably right. But Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. This is the third match in this trilogy, and it's going to be in Hell in a Cell. CM Punk's talked about how they want to, I guess, sort of stretch the limits of how violent they can get. That they think there should be a pretty violent match, considering it is a Hell in a Cell match, and it's sort of lost its gravitas in the last few years. Remember, like when Finn and Edge had the Hell in a Cell match, or was it WrestleMania?
Yeah,
He got cut open. It was like a big deal, and it wasn't on purpose. I mean, it was
yeah,
unintentional, but that was a big deal. And I mean, I don't know how much color they're going to get in this match, but um, I think this has been one of the better feuds the WWE has had in a while. Um, I hope this is the end. I don't want this to continue any longer. And all signs
yeah.
point to this being the ending. Um, do you think Punk comes out on top? Obviously, I have the CM Punk T-shirt on, but anyways,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I'm not really sure because I feel like kind of going back to what you said about with Finn. I mean, does Drew losing again hurt him in the long run? Because I feel like Punk can get beat, and I mean, yeah, it would hurt, but I mean, it's not going to make you think less of him as a future competitor. Whereas I feel like if Drew loses, then it's like, I mean, Punk's been screwing him over. He screwed him over for like 6 months. I mean, he cost him what 4 or 5 world title matches. Uh, he cost him the cash in. And then Drew beat him at SummerSlam. Then Punk got his revenge at Bash at Berlin. So this time around, I feel like it would hurt Drew more to lose, but I do think that Punk probably is going to win
mhm.
because I feel like he's going to move on to possibly face like Gunther after Sammy. That's kind of been the rumor that that's where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I, mean, I do think Punk will probably win, but it wouldn't shock me either way. Like I could see Drew winning, and it wouldn't surprise me if that happened. Because like I said, the win would help Drew more.
Yeah, beating Punk would be huge for him. Um, Obviously, you think Punk is going to pivot towards Gunter next. Where does Drew go? Um, and I guess give me the scenario if he loses or wins, if he beats Punk or if he doesn't. Where do you think he goes from here?
I mean, that's kind of the problem. I mean, if Drew loses, then I don't he doesn't have a right to go after Gunther
Yeah, sure.
if he's the loser in this. And I mean, it would make if he were to win, then it would make sense. Like, okay, I beat CM Punk. I've gotten this monkey off my back. Now I can go after Gunther and get my world title back, and I've gotten rid of this distraction. Whereas if he were to lose it, I don't know where he goes unless it's just he loses this match. He's failed in his mission, his quest to beat CM Punk, especially as much as he's talked about this whole feud consuming him,
Yeah,
inside and outside of the ring. If he loses, unless he goes into just like this depression, this dark road where he doesn't know where to go, or if he's gone for a little while and then comes back, like that's the only really way I could see him going if he loses.
yeah,
He kind of goes away for a little while and then comes back and goes in a new direction. But just immediately after it, I don't see a viable option for him.
yeah. I agree with you. I think Punk has there are a lot of roads Punk can take to get to that WrestleMania main event that he so desperately desires, and apparently return to the WWE to do. Whereas Drew could win this and immediately go on to wrestle Gunter and have a good program with him. Punk could lose, like you said, and he'll find a way to get to that main event. Um, I'm inclined. I'd like Drew to win, personally, and I think Drew will win for all the reasons you just said. Um,
And also too, I mean, Punk obviously the thing with him and Rollins is still there,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though it kind of looks like Seth's going to go after Bronson Reed, but I can't imagine it's going to last that long. So, if Punk were to lose, he could always go face off against Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And I mean, they could have, the match that they've been kind of building towards for all that time. Or really, I mean, anybody. I mean, Punk can kind of go after anybody and it would be a big deal, because he hasn't been there in so long. He could interact with, multiple different people.
Yeah. Um, well, that's bad blood. I mean, I just to go down the list of guys, so you have Bailey versus Nia Jax. Who do you think wins?
Uh, I I think it's probably going to be Nia Jax retaining.
Nia Jax retains.
Yeah,
Morgan versus Ripley. You think Liv Morgan wins?
yeah. I'm thinking Liv wins and keeps this thing going. Unfortunately,
Priest versus Finn Balor. You have Priest winning.
Finn.
Finn. Okay. Uh, Punk McIntyre. Hell in a Cell. McIntyre.
Yeah, that's well. No, I think Punk's gonna win.
Punk's gonna win.
Even though I don't think he should. I think
Right.
Drew should win because he needs it more. But I think they've built this thing up so much to where it's probably gonna be Punk, and then he'll go after Gunther or somebody else, but probably Gunther.
Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Cody Rhodes and Roman have to win this, right?
No, I think it would benefit Solo and Fatu more to win this
Who gets
because you're
pinned?
trying. That's tough. I mean, I think that I mean you would think Cody would probably take the pinfall because um they've had uh this whole thing about Roman not getting pinned very much. So I would think it would make more sense for Cody to take the pinfall. So I think it would kind of be a thing where either there's going to be interference by somebody outside that costs them, or like a miscommunication thing. Roman spears Cody by accident,
Mm,
leads to you know, leads to him losing, and then it can be, you know, like Cody's like, all right, you know what, I'm done with this. I think that could be a good way to get out of this. It's like I tried to help you, you know, you screwed me over again, and now it's like I'm done. I don't want to be a part of this anymore.
wow. If Cody gets pinned, you're just really castrating your world champion. But that's a bold take. Uh,
Yeah,
okay. All right. Well, I have Nia Jax retaining, McIntyre winning, Liv winning, Damian Priest winning, and then Cody and Roman. I think Jacob Fatu takes the pin. This is going to be a really good, like Saturday night's main event, kind of Mega Powers match. I think
mm,
All Star Tag Team wins. I guess real quick, before we end the show, the AEW TV deal. People have been talking about this for, I mean, what feels like an eternity. Um, a lot of people, a lot of speculation, a lot of podcasters have really been making their bones on this news for about a month. I mean, for about a year now. And especially in the last few months, given how many news outlets have said this is the week it's going to get, announced, and it's been happening now for months. Wednesday, right before the show, the fifth anniversary show, Fightful Select reported that the deal was done. Uh, there's a lot of figures out there. Forbes, Sports Business, and Fightful Select all have conflicting reports. I think it looks like it's somewhere in the vicinity of 185 million per year. Um, and their previous deal was only $45 million per year. So it's a huge increase. Now, obviously, they weren't a proven commodity at that point. So it was just kind of on good grace, just kind of speculation. But So 185 million per year. Dynamite and Collision will be simulcast on Max. So the ratings, I mean, they don't mean anything anymore, right? I mean, it's
No, I
like
mean their ratings are worse than they were then, and
no,
they're
I just
getting
mean that. I mean,
so
now
much more.
it's Max at the same time. What does it matter anymore? I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean it's going to be streaming on Max. The ratings are what they are.
yeah. Pay-per-views will be available on Max for a discounted price. Um, and then there's a possibility for unique programming on Max, something like AEW All Access, I would imagine, something in that kind of realm. I don't think it's going to be a wrestling show. Now, there's no talk about the back catalog. I mean, right now, there's no way to watch old episodes of Dynamite. Even if you DVR Dynamite and Collision on like YouTube TV, it erases after the season ends.
Mhm.
So, there's no room on that, no rumor on that, or the pay-per-views if they're going to be available. But this is a big deal and kind of shocking, like you alluded to. The ratings and the attendance, it's just gone down over time, and yet
Yeah,
they've got this huge deal. I mean, what do you think?
yeah. I mean, it's not too surprising to me just because you looked at like some of like kind of like the NBA. I mean, they're obviously their ratings are pretty high, but they're not what they used to be,
Yeah.
and yet they still got a giant TV deal. So
Mhm.
it doesn't really seem like the ratings and things like that really matter to as much when negotiating these deals, and obviously not. I mean, like I said, the ratings are worse than what they were. The attendance is worse, and they're getting you know so much more. But I mean, I think this is pretty big for them. I mean, to be on HBO Max and to have their pay-per-views on there and to be able to have I'm assuming you'd be able have the catalog of shows and pay-per-views be available to watch on there. I would guess. Um, I can't imagine you wouldn't, especially because people like to go back and watch old shows, old pay-per-views. Um, so it's definitely huge for them. I mean, it's a big deal, and it kind of gets it out of the way.
Yeah.
Like everybody talks about it. What kind of deal are they going to get? Are they even going to get one?
Yeah.
Where is this company going? Uh, I think that kind of puts that to bed, and it kind of shows that they're going to be around for quite a while.
I think I've neglected to mention this. Probably the most important part. I think it's a 3-year deal with an option for a fourth. So they'll at least be on Turner Broadcasting for another 3 years. For the pay-per-views, I mean, the interesting thing is that their pay-per-view business is pretty big. I mean, I personally have probably spent like over $1,000 purchasing pay-per-views in the last 4 years for this company. So, imagine if there are, I don't know, 50,000 other people like me across the world, at least. I mean, that's probably a conservative number, but imagine 50,000 other people have bought the majority of the pay-per-views. Uh, that's a lot of money. So I don't know if they're going to want to cannibalize their own business by putting the old pay-per-views on Max. I'll be interested to see. Because then maybe people will just wait to watch a pay-per-view in a month. I don't know how
Yeah,
that, I mean, it's tough to say, but there's also this rumor going around, and I guess Swerve Strickland affirmed the rumor through that video that was leaked that they are working on a deal with Fox to host a show on either Tuesdays or Thursdays, is a report right now. Now, I don't know if that's Fox or FS1. That's another
yeah,
thing that's been conflicting. I mean, a lot of people I mean, obviously Fox is the parent company, but would it be on
mhm,
FS1? Would it be on Fox regular? I don't know, but
yeah,
it,
yeah. Because they trademarked, didn't they trademark like AW Shockwave?
Shockwave, yeah, that's
Yeah,
yeah. So, and the other rumor is that Rampage is going to be, I guess it's going to conclude in 2024 and 2025. It's not going to exist anymore. they had an exclusivity deal with Max or with Warner Brothers Discovery. I'm sorry, that precluded them from having any other shows. That's why Dark went away. They didn't want them on YouTube. From my understanding, that's not a thing anymore. So maybe Dark might return. Maybe this Shockwave is this other option.
Mhm.
You know, you and I a lot over the years have talked about this, and I think it's just as relevant as any time now. Is that it seems like at times Tony Khan stretches himself too thin. I mean, he books Ring of Honor every week, Dynamite and Collision. It's been doing Rampage, although obviously that's taped
Yeah.
with a show, but um, adding Shockwave in, it just seems like he's spreading himself really thin just on the wrestling side. That's not including all the other jobs he has for different entities that his dad owns. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why what the hurt would be in delegating that to somebody else.
mhm,
It's not like he doesn't have, great wrestling minds there
yeah,
that could help him take that over. So I don't. I mean, if you are going to do this new show, you know, I think it would benefit him a lot to just kind of have somebody else book the show. You can obviously you'll still be involved, you'll still be in the know of what's going on.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think it would benefit him a lot to let somebody else take that over, um, and focus more on the like Dynamite and making sure that your main show is the best show you've got, as opposed to trying to book like you said, I mean, 3 4 different shows and
yeah,
keeping all that together and making sure everything tries to make sense. And yeah, that I can't imagine that wouldn't be overwhelming, and might be why some of the other shows haven't done as well, because you're spreading yourself so thin
yeah.
trying to book all this stuff at the same time. It's crazy just to even think about trying to do all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a Friday show, but it's 10 o'clock. You have a Saturday show. Wrestling on Saturday nights hasn't done well in 40 years. Um, so I think it'd be good to have a show on a Tuesday or a Thursday night in Shockwave on Fox. Um, I mean, there's lots of. I don't want to delve into the details of Fox and what they wouldn't allow WWE to do. Why would they allow AEW to do it? Is it on Fox? Is it on FS1? Obviously, that plays a big role in that and in the market for it and things like that. But I know Tony Khan mentioned recently that he has like over 20 people at any given time helping him book the shows and work with talent and relate to talent ideas. And it just seems like you need one person sometimes just focused on one show booking it. And I know, I mean, the rumor always was that Punk was booking Collision until, obviously he wasn't. But,
Yeah.
the rumor is that he was booking that show. And that show was great when it was going on because it had a different feel and it seemed like it was being booked by someone else. Now, I'm not saying
Yeah.
Tony Khan's not good at booking necessarily, but it's a lot to keep up with. I mean, a lot.
Mm.
We're
Yeah,
not
I
even,
mean,
oh, I'm sorry.
no, good. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm saying I think, like, whether it's this new show or whether it's Collision or something, because I mean he's not gonna give up Dynamite, obviously,
No.
booking that. So one of these other shows, I think it would be better to have somebody else, because obviously you'll get a fresh perspective, you'll get new ideas, and yeah, like you said, a different person booking the whole feel of the show just changes. Obviously we saw when Triple H took over, it felt like a new breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Now obviously his was on a bigger scale as far as taking over, but
Yeah.
even just somebody taking over a new show, this new AEW Shockwave show, if that is what it's called, yeah, it would give you that new perspective. It would give a new interest. So how's the show going to look with somebody else booking it,
Mhm.
whoever that is? I think it would. I don't see the negatives in him giving up control completely of one of those shows.
Who would you, just for Shockwave, for example, we don't know everyone who's behind the scenes in AEW. I mean, I could name a few people, but if you could give the book to someone for Shockwave, and let's say it's an hour-long show, who would it be? I mean, well, Danielson is someone that comes to mind. Obviously, his full-time career is ending soon. Would it be him?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean that's kind of where I was thinking because
yeah,
I mean, he was kind of, I think he was the one that was rumored to be booking Collision after Punk was gone, or being involved with Collision.
yeah,
It would kind of make sense, especially because his in-ring career is coming to an end. That he still wants to be involved in the wrestling without having to put the toll on his body.
yeah,
He's still got a great wrestling mind, uh, and you could really put that to use in booking a show. So I think I would assume he'd be the top choice.
sure. Um, it sucks Jim Ross isn't healthier. God, could you imagine him booking an AEW show one show a week?
Yeah, I mean,
I know that's a pipe dream.
he, yeah, no, he would definitely be an interesting choice as far as a booker,
Yeah,
especially just with the years of knowledge that he has. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he has any interest in doing that,
yeah.
especially since I think he's going to be retiring at the end of this year or end of next year, something like that.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Is he just going to go back to WWE? I mean, I don't know, but obviously not in a weekly role. He's not even doing that now. But
Yeah,
this is retiring at the end of the year. I don't know, but he was on Dynamite this week and seemed a lot more lively than he has in a long time. He seemed pretty coherent, which I don't know if that's really a good. I don't know if that's a compliment, but he was
yeah.
enjoyable on Dynamite this week.
Oh yeah. I just obviously Jim Ross. I love listening to Jim Ross. Obviously, that's the commentary that I grew up with, that we
Right.
grew up with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just nostalgic to hear him on the commentary desk, even though he's not as good as he once was. But
Yeah.
yeah, he definitely sounded a lot better, a lot healthier,
Mhm.
because he's gone through so much recently. But yeah, I think it's time to hang it up. Unfortunately, I do. I just because I mean there was some. I mean, again, I love Jim Ross, but just some of those shows, man, just you could tell he was not doing well.
No,
And just it wasn't like he was. And everybody gets old. Everybody, you know, you have your prime, and then you fade off. And that's anybody. That's any athlete. That's any person. Just talking,
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I think it would benefit him a lot to kind of ride off into the sunset, and you've got your legacy as one of the greatest commentators of all time. So
Jim Ross is 72 years old.
yeah, I mean, how long do you want to keep? I mean, he's been in the wrestling business for years. I mean,
This is 70s, I think. I mean,
yeah. So
yeah. Um, yeah, anyways. Yeah, well, I mean, we could talk about Dynamite, but I don't really want to. So I think this is where the show's going to end. I, this is the first episode we've done. It, we tried to have a kind of a schedule, an itinerary. These shows might not always have one. This was we try to structure this a little bit more to give it some gravity, but sometimes we'll talk about current events, current affairs in wrestling. Sometimes it'll be us just coming up with a topic and talking about it for 45 minutes. Tough to say. You don't really know what you're going to expect. Jordan and I have been watching wrestling together for I guess about 7 years now. Whether that was when it was just WWE or now AEW or WWE, whatever we can watch together. But I mean, expect the unexpected. Maybe next week we'll talk about what happened at Bad Blood, see if our picks were right. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Anything else you'd like to say, Jordan?
no, I think you put it really well. Like you said, this is the first one. So just trying to get a feel for it, and you know, always enjoy talking about wrestling in any form. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of a good fun first episode.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. If I tell you what, Jordan is into belt collecting. This guy has a sickness. All right, he's got a fucking problem. All right, he's got a lot of championship belts, replicas, the real things, whatever.
Yeah,
If
dude.
Cody Rhodes takes the fucking pin at Bad Blood, I will buy you a championship belt for Christmas. Now
All
replica,
right,
but if he takes the pin at Bad Blood, this is a gentleman's agreement. I will
okay,
buy you a belt for Christmas.
all right.
So because that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, I don't know. But anyways,
Yeah,
that thank you for watching, and tune in next week on Fridays. Petree's Pit. Thank you.
thank you.